Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now, today's gonna be a very serious video. We're gonna have a very deep discussion as a family about this topic. And where do I even begin? Now, to me, this should be a major story. For whatever reason, it's kind of flying under the radar, and it happened in my home state of New York. So I figured I'd talk about it. And like I said, I put up the image on the screen, the trigger warning. So this is a very sensitive news story, very sensitive topic. If you are a very sensitive individual, or if you are easily triggered, easily upset, easily saddened, just click off the video, come back to the next one. If your stomach can't take certain things, if your heart can't take certain things, I'm giving you the opportunity now to just, you can come back on the next video. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about a young lady named Josefina Cunningham. And as you can see, take a look up on the screen. This is her with her older brother, Jaquan Stewart. And unfortunately, Josefina is no longer with us today. And the reason for that is because she fell victim to one of the worst crimes in the history of the United States of America. And I've been noticing that the older brother has been doing his best to try to raise awareness on this news story. He started an Instagram page dedicated to his baby sister. He's been trying to, boost it from a local story to a national story. And I don't got the biggest channel, but I guess I'll, talk about it on my channel. Help the brother get the story out there. Now, take a look up on the screen. The Instagram page is called The Story of Josefina Catherine Cunningham. It's to bring awareness to the tragedy that happened to my sister. I want the story to go national. I want the story to be heard. I don't want it to just become something that happens and is forgotten about. I want it to be known as African American history.
The holiday season, normally a time spent with loved ones. For Jaquan Stewart, it's the first Christmas without his 3-year-old sister, Josefina Catherine Cunningham.
Well, without her, we're not really celebrating Christmas no more. When I used to see her come home from daycare, she says, "Hi, brother." Yeah. And I tell you that I love you. She used to always give me a hug and a kiss before I used to go back to my apartment.
Now, if you take a look up on the screen, due to the algorithm, I'm going to replace certain words with more appropriate terms. So instead of saying the R word, I'm going to say assaulted. Instead of saying, killed or murdered, I'm just going to say deleted or erased or something less graphic. But anyways, as you can see, a New York State man pleads guilty to an absolutely heinous assault and deletion of a 3-year-old girl. Robert Fisher was reportedly a friend of the victim's family and was staying with the Cunninghams when authorities say that he assaulted Josefina sometime between 8 p.m. July 6th and 7 a.m. July 7th, and during that act, he had caused her death. Now, stories like this definitely strike a chord with me because the country that I come from is famous for falling victim to things like this. Now, the only difference is the kids typically don't end up losing their lives, but we constantly have to deal with these guys coming around trying to, we're the missionaries, or we're here to help. And next thing you know, they touch some little kids and things like that, happens all the time. Happens all the time in my home country. Guys that look just like this, coming around with their Bible and their, we got food and we got, gifts for the young children. Next thing you know, some dude, in the back room with a 5-year-old child doing something unimaginable, right? So, and I'm sure it happens. It definitely happens on the continent of Africa too. We constantly fall victim to individuals who look like this. Constantly letting our guard down around individuals that look like this, when we know for a fact, if it was our own people, we don't even give our own people the benefit of the doubt in that same way. But let somebody that look just like this come around. And for whatever reason, I don't understand black people, but all of our defenses go down, right? We just assume the best of these people. We just assume that these people have good intentions. But if it was your own fellow black person, you would be on high alert. If it was your own fellow black person, you wouldn't give them that same benefit of the doubt, right? But when it comes to these people that look like this, we let them come into our homes, our countries, let them have access to the children. And listen, we just assume the best of them. We just assume the best, but when it comes to our own people, we assume the worst. Now let's continue. Now, I was at work the other day, minding my business, and I came across this glorious news headline. Take a look up on the screen. The man who admitted to deleting a 3-year-old girl has died in Elmira prison. He has died in prison within less than a month of serving his prison sentence. Keep in mind, I think he only got 20 years for the crime, which is crazy. But within a month, he didn't even last 3 months in prison, and he already lost his life. Now, they haven't released the cause of death, but I can only assume that the cause of death was homicidal violence, blunt force trauma, probably something very graphic and traumatic. Shout out to the inmates, shout out to the prisoners in Elmira prison. Hopefully it was a black man who administered justice. Hopefully it was a black man that administered justice. But he didn't even last a month into a sentence, and he already got killed. Round of applause, man. I know when it comes to the doctrine of Christianity, they tell us to forgive, but according to the doctrine of our ancestors, vengeance is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with vengeance. Vengeance is an honorable thing, right? Vengeance is an honorable thing. According to the spiritual orientation of our ancestors, at least my ancestors, right? There is nothing wrong with what happened here. And even according to the Old Testament, if you want to go by the Bible, even according to the Old Testament, it would even tell you there is nothing wrong with what happened here. There is nothing wrong. This is what you call justice. See, justice comes in many forms, right? But one thing I never liked about the doctrine of Christianity was the forgiveness doctrine. I never liked that. Never liked that at all, man. I'm definitely a big fan of the vengeance doctrine. I'm definitely a big believer in the vengeance doctrine. Now, let's get into it. Robert Fisher was 34 years old. Chief Famiglietti said it is difficult for everyone involved because of the trauma this horrific death has brought upon the family and the investigators who worked on the case. Detective Sergeant Michael Dino said he was one of the first handful of officers that responded on the day that Josefina died. He spoke to Josefina's father shortly after learning that Fisher died in prison. It was tough because there's nothing that will bring his daughter back, Dino said. And although he's no longer paying for this person to be in prison to pay for his meals and lodging, it's not going to bring his daughter back. He's still without his daughter. It's still bringing it up over and over again. Josefina Cunningham's brother, Jaquan Stewart, previously told the U.S. Sun how his mother introduced him to Robert Fisher days before the girl's murder. Something felt a little off inside when I first met him, Stewart said, adding that his mom had only been dating Fisher for a week. It was a little off. I just felt something in my gut. I never saw my mother with a white guy before. Maybe that's why, but I never spoke to her about their relationship. It was like she was hypnotized. She was too deep in love with him. It was actually kind of strange. Now, I was having a conversation with a young lady before I made this video, and I told her, to be honest, she was probably another one of those women on social media listening to the false propaganda that is constantly being put out about a certain demographic of men, about how these men are the pinnacle of existence. And once you get one of these men, your life is going to be, on another level. You're going to level up. You're going to be on a whole nother level once you get with one of these men from this demographic, right? These men can do no wrong. These men are the answer to your problems, right? Man, listen, I'm telling you, for whatever reason, we have a certain segment in our community that is dedicated to singing the praises and spreading the propaganda on behalf of these men. And we have real victims falling victim. And like I said, it's already bad enough that we as a people, for whatever reason, when it comes to individuals that look like this, we don't have our guard up around them, right? That's why you hear stories about, I remember a few years ago, I heard about some Canadian man who flew to Ivory Coast. And then he got in good with this girl's mother. He went to the villages of Ivory Coast, and then he got acquainted with this girl's mother, started dating this girl's mother just to get access to her daughter. Said, oh, you know what? Bring your daughter with me. I'm gonna bring your daughter to Canada. I'm gonna put her in school. She gonna be living in the West. She gonna live the good life with me, right? And then the mother, because individuals that look like this, we just assume the best of them. She gave her daughter away to this Canadian man, and this Canadian man had her just shacked up in the house doing God knows what to her. I'm not going to repeat what was said, but he was arrested. He's currently in prison, serving decades in prison. And the young girl is, I don't know what happened after that, but she was rescued from his care. And then, of course, you hear other stories about how you go to certain countries on the African continent and you go to the beaches and you're going to see some old geriatric white man walking around with a little child. Why you walking around with that little boy? Why you walking around with that little girl, right? And then, of course, when you go to my country of Haiti, man, every single year, we're constantly making arrests because these dudes come from whatever country they come from. Wherever they come from, you know, the United States, Canada, France, wherever, and they want to come, you know, we want to come help the blacks. We want to come save the poor black children, you know, and when they come over here, all they doing is touching on the little children, touching the little boys and girls. And this situation here is no different. Obviously, this guy is a predator. He zeroed in on the victim, and the mother, like many of us do, we just assume the best. Oh, he's a white man, you know. He gotta be a nice person. He gotta be a good person. He gotta be rich. He gotta have something going for him because he's white, right? Because he's white. A lot of us got that internalized bias installed inside of our head, man. So the mother, you know, been dating this guy for a week, and the son was like, man, she was just enamored with him, just infatuated with him, you know, left her daughter alone with him, just man, the white man. And unfortunately, this happens, but this happens all the time. Black children constantly fall victim to this, man. Black children constantly fall victim. They constantly fall victim to scenarios like this, man. And it's sad because, like I mentioned before, we would never give our own people the benefit of the doubt like that, right? Another black person, you would be on high alert. You'd be watching them, right? But when it comes to the white person, you assume the best of them, right? We assume the best of outsiders, but we assume the worst of our own people. And that's that internalized self-hatred, man. That's that internalized self-hatred. But I just want to say, man, shout out to those prisoners, man. Shout out to the guards too, because it was probably a collaborative effort, right? The correctional officers probably collaborated with the inmates. That was like, you know, what this guy in for? He did what? He's in here for what? Listen, man, listen. All right, tonight, you know what? I'm going to just leave the door open. You go in there, handle your business, bro. You know, I'm going to look the other way. I'm going to say I didn't see nothing. I'm going to turn the cameras off, handle your business. And then they probably stabbed him up, you know, 250 times, probably, you know, took a broomstick. Listen, they probably did something crazy. He probably died a very graphic, traumatic, and brutal, and just lovely death. You know, lovely death. Justice was served, man. Vengeance was served, man. Vengeance was served. Rest in peace, Josefina. Rest in peace, baby girl. And, you know, like I said, man, as a people, stop the internalized self-hatred, man. Stop the internalized bias you have for outsiders. Always putting on a pedestal outsiders, but you would never give your own people the benefit of the doubt, right? When it comes to your own people, when it comes to black folks, we automatically assume the worst, right? We automatically attach negative stereotypes to our own people, but we automatically attach positive stereotypes to outsiders. And because of that, you're always going to fall victim to that. You're always going to fall victim to a predator who's going to take advantage of your internalized bias. And I said the same thing when Sade Robinson died. I swear to God, it had to be internalized bias because ain't no way an ugly ass white man like that. You a beautiful black woman. You linking up with an ugly ass white man like that. Had to be internalized self-hate. But anyways, man, I'm going to run the footage from his court case when he was sentenced, where the prosecutors were basically giving their final statements, and the judge gave her final statements before he was sentenced off and, you know, sentenced off to prison. And then within weeks of him sitting down and serving his sentence, he was killed in prison. He was killed in prison. Now, they haven't released the cause of death, whether it was homicide, suicide, you know. Listen, I can only assume that he got dealt with. And he got the hand of justice, right? Now, of course, it might be the offhand that he might have just killed himself, but, you know, but hey, either way it goes, he's dead. That's all that matters. He's dead. That's all that matters. And justice is served. Of course, we can't bring little girl back. We can't bring baby girl back, but, you know, at least he not here no more. At least we can sleep comfortably knowing he not here no more. Anyways, man, rest in peace, Josefina. Shout out to Jaquan. You know, I know it's tough, bro. I couldn't even imagine. Like I said, in my family, I'm the only boy. I got big sisters, little sisters. I'm the only boy. I'm surrounded by women. The women heavily outnumber the men in my family. So I've said it multiple times on my channel. If any of y'all boys ever even lay a hand on any woman in my family, let alone take their life, just know the hand of justice will be served. And I have no problem saying that, bro. I have no problem saying that. If any one of y'all lay a hand on a hair on any woman in my family, bro, just know the hand of justice is coming soon. Just know the hand of justice is coming soon. But anyways, man, it's your boy Nefikara, that's Salim, and I'm gonna run the footage. I'm out.
They would not give details about the cause of death other than to say it was homicidal violence as a result of the sexual assault.
I can speak for myself and probably everyone behind me. This has been absolutely heinous and horrific, something that the normal normal investigator, the normal prosecutor doesn't anticipate. So it's been very hard for everyone. The innocence of the child, the brutality of the act, which we can't comment specifically on at this point.
Fisher was sent to jail with no bail. After the arraignment, there was some shouting and fighting outside the courtroom. But some family members want the focus to be on this little girl, the victim in this case, 3-year-old Josefina, or Josie, a sweet little girl with bright eyes and a beautiful smile. Her mother says she's her little angel, taken away from us way too soon.
For some background, Josie's mother, Lakeisha, met the defendant because his sister lived next door. He became a friend of Lakeisha, and he started sleeping over the house only days prior to her murder. He immediately revealed himself to be a predator. Within days of meeting Josie, he preyed on her and caused her death. On July 6th of 2023, in the evening hours, Lakeisha went to Walmart and left the defendant alone to watch Josie. And this is the first time that Josie had ever been alone in the defendant's care. He drugged her, he went into her bedroom, and he raped her. He did all of this while she was alive and awake. And we know that not only from the autopsy results, but we know that from the defendant's own words in his plea allocution. He did this to her while she was alive and awake.
Josie's own mother trusted you to care for her, and you betrayed that trust by drugging her, raping her, and killing her. And even when she was gone, you continued to violate her by using cleaning products that were so strong they literally removed the pigment from her skin in an attempt to destroy the evidence of what you had done to her.